So again, let's continue with device management. There are also quite a few nice things that we introduced here. First, starting with cloud remote access. So the challenge here was that in the past, if you create new endpoints for establishing a cloud remote access in the UI, we always rendered all the options there are in Cumulocity, which included VNC, SSH, Telnet, and pass-through. But there was no visibility whatsoever. What device actually supports. This has now been changed. So we introduced a new smart REST template allowing the device to actually report what it supports. So only those options that are actually supported are rendered, mitigating this limitation. So preventing people from establishing endpoints or building endpoints that actually aren't supported on device side. Next topic I want to talk about is the child device visibility. So child devices are modeled in Cumulocity like any other devices. So child devices are usually devices not directly connected to Cumulocity, but via gateway devices. And they, in the past, didn't have the is device fragment to differentiate basically child devices from directly connected devices, which also had the limitations that child devices haven't been added or listed in all the device lists in device management application, including the all device list and the bulk operation selection model when selecting the devices for bulk operation. That's why we now changed this default behavior. So all devices, not only directly connected device, but also child devices now carry the is device fragment. And therefore, you can leverage both the all device list and bulk operations also for child device as well. But you also have the chance to configure it if you want to keep the old behavior and don't want to add the is device frag. Another smart REST template we introduced is the template 600, which allows devices to ping the platform to ask what version of the platform is available to which it is connected to also see which API interface and response behaviors it can expect. In a sense that maybe with a newer version of Cumulocity, we introduced new device management capabilities. So, for example, ThinEdge is now fully aware of the API interface, can be aware of the API interface, and basically can adapt whether when it's basically connects to a newer platform or older platform version, what is available there. We also now introduced the intuitive column configuration, which is available as public preview. There are just some minor polish ups that need to be done, so it will be available soon, which simplifies the creation of custom columns. The custom columns have been in the platform for quite a while, and let me quickly share that in the tenant to show it how it looks now. So in the past, when creating a new custom column, here you can add a new one. You usually had to define the key the fragment path and the key of the data point or the column you wanted to add, which requires some knowledge about Cumulocity. It's not so super intuitive for some people, and it also didn't allow to edit it afterwards. That's why we simplified this creation of custom columns process. We basically leverage the digital twin manager and its property library for that. So in future, you will have the chance to model these custom columns as an administrator in your DTM application in the property library, which will be then available here. And you just need to go, for example, here to location, add longitude, and you also have the description, also some metadata added. So for users, it's more self-explanatory what they can actually expect. And they don't have a typo in the fragment path and so on. And then you have directly added the longitude, and all devices that actually carry that information, you can see it here. And you can also easily change that. So, for example, if you don't need it anymore, it's also here tagged as custom, and you can also easily remove it if you don't need it anymore, which makes it significantly easier to manage custom columns. So next to the custom columns, we also introduced a new community functionality, which is the AI chat widget. The AI chat widget can be embedded in any dashboard, like the device info dashboard. And since it's fully device contextual aware, it provides a new and more intuitive way to interact with devices, get new information, and a great way to interact with your device. And it's already available on GitHub, so a great way to explore what's already available in the community space. With that, I'm going over to teasing the new topics that will come up in the next few months. So one thing I'm actually quite excited about is the new parameter functionality, which significantly simplifies the configuration of devices. So in the past, we already had some ways to do device configurations, like via device shell, the configuration management, where you had the chance to push a configuration file to the device. But with that, we make it now way more intuitive to change configurations, way more easier. This again leverages the digital twin manager. You there have the chance also with the property library to model those parameters, add contextual information and like min-max values and a description. And you will then have the chance in device management to visualize all the parameters that are applicable for a specific device, send down new values to the device, so the device changes that via an operation, and you can the device sends back the new value to the platform, so you can also see a history of changes of a particular parameter. And the next one is OPC-UA integration via ThinEdge. So this will significantly improve and simplify the management of the OPC-UA gateway, which will in future be deployed via ThinEdge, basically wrapped in a container. So the benefits here are that credential handling is handled by ThinEdge. Also by managing it as a container, that also simplifies the deployment of the device gateway, of the OPC-UA gateway, as well as updating it. And the next benefit is also that data being pushed by the OPC-UA gateway can now be pushed via JSON, the ThinEdge JSON data format, to MQTT service, which also significantly enhances the flexibility when it comes to transforming and decoding the data. Last but not least, one upcoming thing is the improved measurement tab. So every device currently has a measurement tab showing all the data points that are sent by the device to see whether everything that is expected is actually coming in. And we there want in future to leverage the already existing data point explorer, data explorer, to make it easier to search for the data points you're looking for, especially if you have maybe 100 or 50 data points on your device. Having a diagram for each of them easily gets a bit frustrating to find the right one, and that probably makes it way easier to find the meaningful data for you. And that already concludes the device management part. Thanks a lot, and I'm thereby handing over to you, Ruben.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. So hi, everyone. My name is Ruben Miller. I'm the product owner for the ThinEdge team. So the ThinEdge team is responsible for developing this open source agent, so device agent for Linux devices. So it's completely open source, and it has an amazing set of out-of-the-box device management functionality. So we've been busy in doing always releases. So I wanted to highlight some of the key features that come in the 1.5 release. So the number one highlight, and probably my favorite feature, both ThinEdge and Cumulocity for a while, is the support for the public preview Cumulocity certificate authority feature. I'll have a dedicated slide on this because it's so fantastic, but it just eases the issuance of certificates and makes the whole renewal automatic of certificates. Then we also want to focus on security. So we now have full support for hardware security modules. So this means that you can securely store your private certificates on the devices on those dedicated modules so that no one can access it. And there's no risk of getting exposed or an attacker coming in and stealing it because it's just not accessible to absolutely anyone. Then we wanted to also open up kind of the usefulness of ThinEdge to use in different kind of environments. So one of the kind of use cases would be available is what happens if you want to create a local UI to maybe display some of the information about what's happening on the ThinEdge device. So we've created some new REST APIs that you can then access. So that makes it great for kind of local UIs. If you want to kind of present, if you have a whole like child device hierarchy, then you can even make that visual, or like to visualize that locally on the device. Then, because in ThinEdge, we're always looking to how can you deploy ThinEdge in different environments. So we now support deploying ThinEdge behind HTTP proxy environments. So namely, if you're in like factory floors, maybe the IT has a very strict policy that all the communication needs to go through a HTTP proxy, then ThinEdge supports that out of the box. Now, if you're not a ThinEdge user at this point in time, and maybe have your own kind of Linux agent being developed or using an older kind of variant, then it might be an interesting exercise to kind of compare, the out-of-box functionality that ThinEdge brings and, what the functionality of your existing agent is. So I think you'll be quite surprised to see how many features we do support out of the box, and we have a team behind us doing this daily. So sometimes we can keep up with this kind of rapid kind of feature improvements. So it's definitely worth checking out to see what we all can do. So now on to like my favorite kind of topic at the moment is the whole topic of device certificate management. So there was always from day one, ThinEdge was a big push to get people to use certificates for the device communication to the cloud. And so from day one, we said that's the only way to do it. But there was a bit of a gap there that we were pushing people to use it, but then there was a how do I issue a certificate question. So it was making the onboard experience a little bit more difficult. It wasn't impossible because you could use external services. However, external services cost money. So usually they'll have a subscription model per device or per certificate issuance, which can blow out to a lot of money. And it also was a little bit harder to integrate. So with the certificate authority feature from Cumulocity, which is currently in public preview, it comes with an out-of-the-box certificate authority, which can issue certificates and also renew certificates, or it provides endpoints available to use. So ThinEdge supports this out of the box. So it simplifies the onboarding process. It removes kind of like any additional kind of requirements to have additional services, so saves you money. And once you have that certificate, the certificate renewal process is automatic. You do not need to do anything anymore. So it means it should be hands off. And then basically you have nothing more to worry about. So we've already had a lot of positive feedback, both on ThinEdge and the actual core platform feature. So if you don't know about it, please reach out to get it activated on your tenants. Then moving on to a bit of a glimpse of what we're kind of working on in the future, because again, we have a whole team which is doing this, daily, is we're continuously also trying to look at how to make your lives easier. So there's two main topics that I want to highlight. One is the integration of the Cumulocity service. So to enable ThinEdge users to also connect to the new upcoming MQTT service, which is also in preview status, to basically make being able to publish to generic or like user-defined topics on the cloud very easily. So again, that's one of the advantages of ThinEdge. Hey, we take care of this Cumulocity integration for you, so you can just use the local API on your device, and it's very easy to kind of consume. The other big highlight feature is we're looking into a new configurable mapper. So basically, that's a fancy way of saying that we've seen a lot of users have the use case where they want to define some user-defined rules to do maybe some data shaping or transformation on the edge. Maybe whether it's doing like selective publishing of data, like only send this value when it's greater than X, or when there's a delta of this, aggregation, monitoring like service uptime, counters if you want to do some kind of log aggregations. So we're looking to build basically a local configurable mapper, which has a powerful language within it, which you can also use and generate using AI and all those kind of magical tools at the moment. So it's at still a little bit of the beginning phase. So we started doing some code and doing some heavy research. So if you really want to shape ThinEdge and like shape the feature, please reach out to us with any kind of like use cases. We're more than happy to discuss, because we really want this feature to be on point and to be as useful as possible.